Thank you very much and welcome after lunch back. I hope really that what I'm going to talk to you today will really add value and that you may have some concerns that you can address to me and I may be able to help you on those concerns. So I think if we start off, one of the biggest things that we've realized is recently within South Africa we were faced with the threat of the biggest banking strike in our history. Why? Because of job losses. And what were the contributing factor to those job losses? The consistent increase of automation. So that's a fact. So now what I want to talk to you guys today about is, first of all, what is the place of AI in the South African or in the emerging economies? Is there a place for AI? Second thing is, what's happening in our climates? And how are we going to leverage what we learn in our current economical climates? And the third thing is really, how are we going to embrace AI in a social, responsible way? Because that's the most important part of it. So, if we start off, we can see AI is one of the biggest talking points currently. Everybody's using AI. Everybody's investing in AI. We see a lot of wrongs that's being done in AI. But we can see we're not going to really get away from AI. We might get away by the way that we use AI. Because I think it's more in the utilization of AI where the big issues come in. So, not only in South Africa, but we also know in different parts of the world, self-service, AI self-service, AI bots are used. Because that's really this next generation where we are living, even in South Africa by some of the biggest companies. So the first thing that we want to look at is what's the place of AI within our technology trend. And to answer that part, we need to go and have a look at how good are we as humans in making decisions. Are we good enough that we can make decisions on our own, or do we need assistance in making decisions? So in order to answer that question, we're going to look at some case studies that were done by the University of Chicago. So 2 case studies were done by them where they went and they actually went to look at certain things that's happening. The first one was on judges, and that was on asylum seekers. So how does judges rule on matters that's in front of them? And you can see from the statistics, they analyzed 106,000 decisions of 412 judges. And the one thing that they found that was consistent through all of them, where judges are more likely to approve asylum application just before lunch. It's human. Second thing, at the end of the day, because I just want to get out of it. That's humanity. It happens. And if they have granted the previous asylum application. So now the question is this fair towards the people that approach you? No, it's not fair, but it is human nature. Second thing that they looked at is they looked at loan officers, and that was in India. They looked at loan officers from banks in India. They analyzed 182 officers, 9,000 decisions. And the result that happened were officers were 10% less likely to approve a loan if they have approved the previous loan. So, one thing is sure, we as humans make mistakes. It's a fact. We make mistakes, we are human. I don't see it as a negative, I actually see it as a positive. We are human, and we need that human interaction part. So, now we need to start to look at the 4th Industrial Revolution. I think the easiest to predict and most widely discussed impact of the 4th Industrial Revolution is the increase in unemployment. That's the main thing that's coming out of the 4th Industrial Revolution. And it's weird, because we think about the previous revolutions. All of the previous revolutions had job losses, massive job losses. But they created new jobs. They even created new industries. Now, the 4th Industrial Revolution didn't start yesterday. We've already in it for quite some time. And one of the most important things that we're starting to see from this 4th Industrial Revolution is that jobs are being lost, but we're not creating new jobs or opportunities. And that's where we're failing in the 4th Industrial Revolution. So, now, South Africa has purposefully rejected technology advancements of the previous industrial revolution. Wisely. Because one of those advances, I'm going to tell you exactly what that was. One of those advances, the outcome was major job losses. Do anybody know what that was? That we rejected. We're not doing it. Self-service petrol pumps. Find it all over Europe, find it all over US. Great way to cut costs. Why isn't it in South Africa? We sit with those oil companies. We could have had it, but we did not utilize it because the only outcome of that was job losses. There was no upside really to our labor. So we're not going to get away from technology, but it's all in the way how we're going to adopt to this technology. If we adopt to the fourth industrial revolution, technology advancements, we need to do that and ensure current and future workforce are retained. Easy statement to say, that more difficult to do, to prove. So, the question is now, previous industrial revolutions showed that job losses will occur. Change is inevitable. We're not going to get away from change. We need to be cognizant of our economic climate and how we're going to adopt to those changes. So, let's go and look at this economical climate, and this is not just of South Africa, this is more of emerging markets. I don't know if you guys have done your research in terms of emerging markets, but especially East Africa is one of the quickest growing emerging markets in the world. So, that's great news for us. But, there's a lot of things that we need to think about. So, emerging economies like us are very tempted to oppose the adoption of the fourth industrial revolution. So we think about, let's not do it, let's oppose it. But that cannot be the answer. Why? Why isn't it the answer? Competition, globalization, the ever request for productivity and services. If we don't fulfill in that, it will result in less foreign investments. Less foreign investments will result in a slower growth in our economies. The slower growth in our economies are going to result in less employment. So on the one side we've got it, if we adopt it, then we lose jobs. If we don't adopt it, then we lose jobs. So what do we do? And is there a way of doing it? And yes, there's definitely a way. So I think when we try to see what is the answer to this, we need to take a step back and go and look at AI. When did AI start? Is it something new? No, AI grew. AI grew over 22 years. So what can we learn out of that whole cycle? So I know a few people are older, like me. So some of you may remember the game that Garry Kasparov, the world chess master, played against Deep Blue. The Deep Blue was a chess computer. That was really where this machine learning and everything started 22 years ago. So, Garry Kasparov played against Deep Blue. What happened in that game? 6 games was played. Garry won 1 game, the computer won 2, 3 games were drawn. So yes, that sounds good or not good, but the founder of that, the creator of that chess playing computer, and one thing that he said, the best chess player is actually a team of both human and machine. So the best outcome that we can achieve out of machine learning, artificial intelligence, is a combination of human and machine. And through that is really where we start to talk about augmented intelligence, augmented artificial intelligence. Now, if we look at AI in a different way, we start to look at AI not to replace people, but more in a way of how can we utilize AI to assist people? How can it complement human intelligence? Augmented intelligence introduces the idea that if we utilize AI indiscriminately and in an automated way to replace humans, that's irresponsible and more. And that's really what we are after. We don't want to oppose artificial intelligence. but we want to utilize artificial intelligence in a social responsible way. So there was case studies done, and this was done by the Yale University Institute for Network Science. So they created an experiment where they had an online game. And this online game had up to 4,000 people that played in it in terms of networks. And the whole idea of this game is people needed to work together to get to one goal at the end, to achieve one goal. But inside that game, inside all of that segments in it, they incorporated bots. But very simple bots. That bots just had 3 outcomes. So different to humans, they had to sit and try and figure out a resolution to get to a good goal. These bots said one of three things. And one of those things were completely wrong that this bot said. So they utilized it and they looked at the results after they introduced this bot. And what they found was the following. They found that the introduction of the bots within that network actually aided overall performance of the humans. So when the bots were introduced, even though the bots gave the wrong answers, it helped the people, because it helped the people to think further, to go further. Second thing that they also saw is that when tasks got more difficult, the bots, actually with the introduction of the bots, helped to resolve those tasks 55.6 times faster. And I think the best thing of everything, people whose performance increased due to the bots, they actually had an influence against the other people as well. So the other people were also influenced, and their performance also started to improve. So there's case studies about this, that utilizing machine and human being in a way together, that is the answer. That's the way to enhance us as human beings, to enhance our intelligence, our way of thinking. So, if we go and look at when of intelligence, why? What is the reasons for it? I think one of the big things is it eliminates unintended errors and outcomes. I don't know who of you knew about IBM Watson Medical. Same as IBM Watson. I think it's medical or health. That was the artificial intelligence bot. Same as IBM Watson, but it was specifically for medical related questions that IBM rolled out. What happened? They realized very quickly that the advice that bot gave is incorrect. What risk is that? To give wrong medical advice. Very quickly it was shut down. So there you see you've got artificial intelligence without human supervision, testing on the one side, and it failed. And I'm telling you now, we work in this industry. We work with technology. We work with artificial intelligence. We build machine learning engines for companies. We get it time and time again when we sit in front of companies where we start to say, yes, we've got specialists, analysts, special senior analysts that's part of this journey with you. And they say, but that's not AI. And we say that is. That's supervised AI. That's the right way of doing it. Otherwise, you need to give unintended errors and outcomes, and that's a risk. Second thing, probably one of the most important things when we talk about our customers is the humane part. That we must maintain our humanity, be human. If you engage with something, you want that human capability. I'm not saying you always want it. I'm not saying there's not a place for self-service. There is a place for self-service. We've got our own product for self-service. But if you utilize artificial intelligence to engage with a customer, you need to be very sure that you've got a human side to it immediately available if that customer wants it. I mean, all of us have worked on bots on websites and stuff. We know a lot of the insurance companies also bring it out. And you try to play with it. And what happened? A lot of the times, the bot doesn't know what you mean. It doesn't know what you mean. You went on that self-service bot because you want to do self-service. Now it's frustrating you, but there's no human that can intervene. If they incorporate the humane part in terms of a live agent that takes over that conversation when you battle, sorted. It's a human. When I negotiate for payment in collections, when I negotiate for payment, yes, our machine learning models can tell you exactly, based on a person's behavior, what is the correct amount to request for installment. That's easy. Our machine learning models do that for you. But if you cannot afford it due to a quick medical, somebody's dead, something happened, that machine doesn't understand that. You need that human interaction at that stage to now engage with you and to understand it, and then to help you lower that installment. So again, we need the AI part. I don't say we don't. We do need it. But we need the human part more to be together with those two. Then, like we said in our test, what is one of the most important things? It improves human behavior. Now, I'm a very firm believer. If you introduce artificial intelligence, machine learning into your environment, if you do not have as an outcome for it that it will improve human performance and behavior, you're on the wrong line. You need to get out of there because you're heading for a cliff. That is the outcome of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So, that sounds great. Now I'm going to make an even worse statement. Artificial intelligence as a job creator. It's very optimistic to say that. Can we utilize artificial intelligence as a job creator? We can. We've seen it being done. We've seen how the previous industrial revolutions have created the negative aspect thereof to get new jobs, to start new jobs. Even new industries started out of there. But we in South Africa and in most countries, our educational is not up there yet. We are battling to get the resources to fill that gap. And that's one of the most important things that we need to achieve. Not keep that responsibility to plug this gap of new technology and education thereof, solely put it on the education industries. We cannot do that. We as companies need to step forward and start to empower people in terms of this new technology. Because education will get it, they will, but it doesn't happen overnight. But we as companies got that responsibility to start to work on that, to start to almost create new job roles, and to start to help people in that. When we look at the future, one of my colleagues made the simple comment where he said, in the future it will be less about qualification and more about what you learn on the job. It's actually scary because that's what happened years and years and years ago. But that is where we're going. Why? Because education is not catching up to technology. So, I have said a lot today, but I really want to part with some words. And this is even from IBM CEO after many lessons learned. I think we'll augment our intelligence. I think that's the answer. Now, there's a lot of companies that stop at artificial intelligence. And that's scary, they only offer that to you. But we at Principal and a lot of other companies within South Africa and the rest of the world, we go beyond. And we focus on augmented intelligence to drive business values and grow human capability and behavior. And I'm going to say again, if you introduce machine learning or artificial intelligence and your outcome is not to improve humanity, to improve the people that's utilizing it, the customer, your workflows, then you're heading for a cliff. It will work maybe in the beginning where you cut a lot of costs, but as soon as you're going to have to go further, you're going to see it doesn't work. There again, IBM, they did it. They did it. They learned the lessons. Let's not do the same thing. Let's learn out of what those people did. Thank you very much.